Democrat or Republican. I told the young Democrat now representing the party that when Obama was campaigning that he said, when I'm elected, I will remove all the troops from Iraq within 16 months. And everybody clapped and they quit listening. They didn't hear the second part of the sentence that said, we're going to send them all to Afghanistan. So we do need to pay attention a little more. Angela is an activist. She's former Libertarian National Committee member, former executive director of the Libertarian Party of California, activist with Outright Libertarians. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Angela Keaton.
I've been twittering little bits from the convention today so that Stuart Flood and the others get it directly. It's fresh and there's no mediator. I have several, actually, I have more handouts for you. These are just for you guys, actually. I try to bring something in the way of these and then just start passing these out. If you've got any leftover, since I'm trying to save you your money, we'll just get in the back. But also, too, I have bumper stickers that plenty of bumper stickers and plenty of other bumper stickers. And for those of you who like the back check well, run out, I've got more, so here. All right. I'm going to take a radically different tone of where we're headed with this set of speeches. Going between me and Ernie was not a good deal. I kind of the sandwich between the nice calming sandwich middle between the radical red ends. But of course you can't. It's almost impossible not to comment on the ADC, so we'll just get it out of the way really quickly. First, I just want to thank Kelly for inviting me and such a great convention. This has been a wonderful experience, and I always look forward to speaking at different events, especially to libertarians doing it or to solving the war. So I'm going to head in with I did a different intro last night because obviously things have changed since the speeches started to develop. And this is a Libertarian Party group, and it is about anti-war. And when I was thinking about the situation, I mean, there is an obvious connection. What is antiwar.com? It's consistently a top 20 political site. It surveys we absolutely rank consistently. It's actually LouRothwell.com, strangely. If you think about it, that means what kind of people read those sites every day around the world. So when you think about libertarian, you think about the Libertarian Party as being small, but the movement has wide and deep support out there, which is bigger though than when we're thinking that it's the whole world. That's about 100,000 visitors a day, and that's about 100,000 people. About 99.9% of whom don't give a damn whether Lee Brandt's and I got kicked off of some kid's bus. I want to move on to that because when I look at the rapid body count, by the end of the year, roughly 100,000 civilians will have died with the U.S. occupation order. And given the level of death and destruction by the military, it's really beneath my dignity to even give a moment's thought to build red paths. And that is such a minor issue in the grand scheme of what is happening and the death and destruction that I cannot be to be concerned about the LNC when every day the United States government is responsible for murder. It just the proportion isn't there. So people are murdered and you pay for it, and shelling wedding parties and shooting pregnant women, and that should be at the top of the LP agenda. Not light bulbs, not Robert's rules, not promoting the GOP's agenda of gay hate and race baiting, but the fact that all right, let's get back to the components here. I know I'm speaking to members of the Libertarian Party, and today, as most of you know, I've been one of you for a very long time. I grew up in a Libertarian household. My old man was a typical anarcho-capitalist rock party. It's founding cliche. And I've been working with the party since I was a teenager. I was president of my college chapter of Libertarians and kind of worked my way through until I got on Libertarian National Committee. And part of the reason why I'm no longer a member of the Libertarian National Committee was that certain groups have shifted toward conservatism and a type of chamber of commerce style republicanism as opposed to the basic non-aggression principle and natural rights, which are the source of all individual rights. So that's kind of why, when we talk about being anti-war, this is very much an integral part of what it means to be a libertarian when we think about what war is. But I haven't completely given up hope. And Libertarian Party and state or local forums can be a very, very valuable force for peace, justice, and freedom. And what I'm speaking here today about is what I think the most important way for a libertarian or a member of the Libertarian Party or a human being can be that kind of force for peace, justice, and freedom. It largely ties to the reason why we're very uncomfortable. And with public activism, the LP chose to nominate Bob Barr for president, who anointed himself last week as the wing of the anti-war movement of the party. Curious. As vice president, most of my activist time now goes into antiwar.com as well as most of my work day. And it's a website that was founded by two very important figures in the history of the modern libertarian movement, Eric Harris and Justin Orlando, both of whom were part of the Rothbard philosopher of the 20th century that still most people have not heard of. Every day, this is what we do every day, it gathers very, very important information and does that with a very small staff of, most of them are pretty hardcore libertarians. I don't mean LP members, they're real serious movement philosopher type where they're extremely committed to these ideas. And it's close focus though. We focus on the one issue, it's anti-interventionist foreign policy. That's it, that's all we do. That's all we talk about, that's all we cover. And we're not partisan, we're entirely a coalition based. We take people from all over, all ideologies, with everyone, if you look at our radio show, Antiwar.com, also Antiwar Radio, everyone literally from Noam Chomsky to Pat Buchanan has been on that show. And they all have something in common. And it's something to think about when you're trying to make change. Because the goal of this, and what it says, the goal of this isn't to get Libertarian Party members, the goal is a libertarian society. Antiwar.com is unique because we have news and gather news and information from all over the world, all the sources, and a lot of it that doesn't get easily covered here. I'm not saying it's censored here in the U.S., it just isn't part of the typical mainstream news coverage. It doesn't fit the general narrative. And it's such an important resource, and of course I do the normal things since I am the development director, of course, is that I hope that you support it with time, money, or both. Some people think that out there that think that aiming all of your activist energy into an issue that has many, many supporters and opponents that are not libertarians, which is true about the anti-war issue, is a sign that a cause is not libertarian. And I'm the kind of person who, I'm embarrassed as the next person whenever I go to an answer rally. For those of you not familiar, answer is Act Now to Stop War and Racism, which sounds like a great idea in theory. Unfortunately, answer mixes about 14 different causes, and when you show up to an anti-war event, this young Paul can see, what's East Timor? Or there's all these signs about gay marriage or socialized medicine, and they have absolutely nothing to do with the basic message. Of course, so answer is not the best place to do it because it's really very confusing to libertarians, but it's important to show. And I show up at every one of these rallies, and I made the mistake of actually taking a current member of the LNC who's in the Neo faction to an answer rally, and he began to literally shake and freak out because of the presence of all these people who were different, including Wars Not Wars, which shows up in LA, and they are literally wars, not wars. It's quite an event, but and these rallies are usually the best. It's always, it's socialized medicine, it's returning Southern California to Aslan, or it's Screen Actors Guild will show up, and it's always shifting focus away from the wars. But the fact is, you need to show the state that there is active resistance to the war. And you have to demonstrate that. That's why you do go to things like protest. It's very, very important that the government see action, because voting is such an insignificant part of the political experience. It's probably the least effective way to make political change. So that's why it's very, very important that you're making public statements, that you're speaking, and that you're, most importantly, educating yourself about the actual numbers of war. Because I can talk philosophy all day about war, but I want you to think about this. In 2008 alone, 2,100